How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Realit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So today I want to do a little bit of a discussion video where we're going to talk about the potential of seeing Mega Evolutions back in Pokemon 2019 being the Generation 8 games. Now, as far as we know, the next games are going to be Generation 8, based on the things we've heard from Junichi Masuda, from the Pokemon Company themselves, and that sort of stuff. So they've essentially told us next year is going to be a new generation of games, but we're not still 100% on that. There's a chance people think that there could be a Diamond and Pearl remake next year, which, hey, I'm gonna leave it up in the air because who knows, but I'm still like, you know, about 90% sure we're gonna get Generation 8 next year, and if we do get it, the big question is, will Mega Evolutions return? As somebody who's a huge fan of Mega Evolutions and who loved them when they were first introduced, I'm very curious if we're gonna see them again, because Z-moves are seriously something that I don't really want to see happen again. Like, I was fine with Z-moves for Alola. They're cool there. Sure, keep them there. But, personally, I don't want to see Z-moves returning. I know Megas are also very game-breaking. They cause a lot of issues, but I feel like if they can just balance them out and just kind of do some flipping around and, you know, that sort of stuff, maybe they can balance them out to work again. But I just want to see some new Megas because, hey, I want to see some Pokemon get new Mega Evolutions. Dude, it's pretty cool. I like it. So, let's talk about that for a minute, guys. So, why do I want to do that at all? Well, basically, I remember this one article that I looked at a while back where Masuda goes through, or I think Masuda essentially explains some things about like how Pokemon, you know, was planned out for Alola and how they planned out to not have like new Mega Evolutions and sidelining them, and they weren't sure like how they were going to return them in the future. People thought like, oh, Megas are done, they're not going to return again because we didn't see any in Alola, they're done for, they're gone. Well, here's the thing, right? Nintendo doesn't really ever introduce something by, you know, and never really 100% complete it. Like, there are times where they introduce a specific Pokemon, a thing, a legendary, whatever, and it doesn't get used to its full potential, or it gets, you know, kind of sidelined, you know what I mean? And that happens a lot with, like, you know, features in the games and that sort of stuff, but they always return in one way or shape. And since Megas have such a huge influence, and the fact that you still have this chunk of Mega Evolutions that exist, and like now you just have 800 Pokemon, but only about like maybe 15, 20 or whatever are actually, you know, able to Mega Evolve, it's very strange, because like, you know, what about these Pokemon? What about these Pokemon? Why are these ones only special with Megas, but these ones aren't? You know what I mean? And hence why the Z-moves were invented. It was supposed to be kind of this special thing, you know, for every single one of the Pokemon, but as you guys may remember from The Incredibles, when everyone's special, no one is. And that's kind of the thing with the Z-moves for me, is that, like, by introducing Z-moves to a majority of Pokemon, and then having, like, you know, special Z-moves for specific ones, you know what I mean? It kind of, like, made most of the Pokemon and most of the Z-moves kind of boring. Like, most people didn't care about when new Z-moves got introduced, when they dropped trailers for them. People didn't care much. But when a Mega Evolution trailer dropped, people were hyped, because you were going to get a new design for a Pokemon you maybe loved. You're going to see this brand new thing on it. It was going to have new moves. It's going to look badass. Like, people were actually excited about Megas compared to Z-moves. Like, people still enjoyed, some people still enjoy Z-moves, but they're way less interesting. So let's go through this article, see what they said here back in 2016 of all time. This was back in 2016 that they said this, and let's actually read what they talk about and what they say here. So, Pokemon Boss explains why Sun and Moon sidelined Mega Evolution, taking a chancey, wow, on Z-moves instead. 3 years ago, Pokemon received the biggest shakeup in generations with the introduction of Mega Evolutions. New evolutions for existing creatures that had been added before. This new mechanic specifically targeted some of the best known and already most powerful Pokemon and pumped them up further. Mega Evolution was also only a temporary effect, available just in battle. For a franchise centered around raising, breeding, and trading of creatures, it was somewhat an unusual step, and was frequently compared to the evolution style of long-lost rival Digimon. Now it's Sun and Moon, just a weeks from release, we had confirmation that Mega Evolutions are still technically supported by the Pokemon transferred into the game, but the game will not explore the mechanic further. After such prominent roles in X and Y, and then intervening Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, it's something of a surprise to see the mechanics now sidelined. No new Mega Evolutions have been shown or are expected. Speaking with Eurogamer, Pokemon director Junichi Masuda explained the change in focus. Why Sun and Moon have introduced a new mechanic instead called Z-moves. This time around, we've got various different things for people to enjoy in Pokemon Sun and Moon. One of these things is Z-moves, Masuda said. This is something every Pokemon can use, and that's the issue, right? Like, when you make every Pokemon special, none of them are special anymore. That's kind of the point of, like, the same thing with legendaries, right? So here's the thing, right? Why do we don't care about legendaries anymore nowadays? Why are legendaries not special anymore, right? Why do I not care about going and getting a code for a shiny Zygarde? Because who cares? Everybody has it. There's nothing special about getting it. You're handing it out to me. what's so special about it, right? What's the big deal about it? Why should I care about getting it? That is the issue, right? That is the big point that, must be hit on upon here. That Z moves were kind of this, uninteresting thing. Megas were interesting because there were so few of them, because they were special, right? That's why they were fun. And if they just leave these, this side little part of them that have Mega Evolutions, what's going to happen to the franchise, really? Because you're going to be in the future when you have a Generation 8 game, especially next year, people will be like, hey, so why can't my Blaziken Mega Evolve? I have a Blaziken, I know I could Mega Evolve it previously, why can't I Mega Evolve it now? It's kind of strange. By the way, so what we have now is a way for people to use Pokemon they want to use. So their favorite types, their favorite Pokemon, even those which perhaps weren't so popular before, now they can focus on their favorites in battle. That's why we focus on the Z moves this time around. It's not just letting us use your favorite either, as many of most popular did get Mega Evolutions. It's also a way to resurface little used creatures and give them a boost. Previously, there was Pokemon that weren't perhaps used too much in battle, and they're perhaps going to come to the forefront a bit more. I can use this way. Masuda continued, and perhaps make a different effect than was previously possible. So it sounds like the end of Mega Evolution, at least for now. Each time we make a new game, we think of a particular theme and a particular element that would work well with the game. Masuda replied when asked if Mega Evolutions might return. This time we have our Z moves, but if a game comes up in the future that we think Mega Evolution would work really well with, certainly we'll look into it. But for the minute, we don't have any particular plans. So there is a potential, right? But he's not, this was back in 2016, right? So now it's a few years in the future, and he's not discounting, he's not fully sidelining them. He's not saying 100% that we won't see Megas ever again pop up. He's not saying that Megas will never return again, or Primal forms, whatever you want to call it, the different versions that you have, for Legendary Pokemon, etc. He's not 100% sidelining it, but there is a reason for concern, and that is that, will we get a gimmick that's kind of gonna be like the Z moves in the next games? Will we get another kind of lackluster, make everyone special type of thing, right? Which is such a boring way to go around things. Don't make everything special, because when you make everyone special, again, I've repeated myself so many times about this exact point, but when you make everyone special, no one is special anymore. So here is the general rundown, right? He's suggesting that Z moves were introduced in Sun and Moon, specifically for Sun and Moon, to be this new form of way for you to kind of explore every possible Pokemon. Try out different Pokemon. Try a Pokemon you've never tried before in the past, right? Try out using maybe a Chansey, or try out using maybe, a Seawaddle, or try using a Seaking, I don't know, or a Golduck. Try using Pokemon that you've never used in the past with the Z moves, and that's what people didn't really do, honestly. I think most people just kind of ran the same teams and just kind of used the coolest looking Pokemon, right? That's the biggest thing with Pokemon, right? Is that people just kind of use what's kind of effective, what works well in the team, and then kind of just everybody kind of has generally the same general teams. I feel like if you look through most teams, most people are running one or two, one or the other of the Lycanroc forms. People were always either running, something like a Hawlucha or whatever. Always saw a starter in there. You weren't really seeing people exploring with maybe picking up a Murkrow randomly on route. What's the route that route you have? Once you get to the first city. Either way, it's besides the point. But basically, you didn't see people exploring too many possibilities, except if it was somebody that just wanted to mess around and make a interesting team. But people do that in the past as well. People have always done that, right? But now you kind of remove this fun of what the Megas were, because it's kind of one of those things that always hyped up Pokemon and made it more fun to be excited for new games, was to see new things. Hence why I personally don't have too much excitement for anything that may show up in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, because we've already kind of seen what's going to be in the game. We already know what those games are, and we're not expecting much beyond that one single brand new Pokemon that they're going to be introducing. A single one, by the way. Single one, so not more than one. But as for now, maybe they could update that in the future. Maybe we will have more Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee that are brand new ones. Who knows? But that's the sort of things that make the games fun. There's speculation ahead of it, and then when it happens, you're excited. You want to use them. You earn your way to get them, and then once you have them, you actually enjoy using them. But it also kind of did make them into kind of a boring thing as well in Sun and Moon, where you just kind of go to this, you essentially just receive them directly, and you don't really do much to, again, earn them and that sort of stuff. But I do hope that the next time we get, or maybe next year, I do hope they do kind of some exploring with the regional variants again, because the regional variants were perfect. I feel like the regional variants were the perfect extra addition for certain Pokemon that hadn't gotten enough attention, and just making them, elevating them a little bit extra, right? That I think was awesome. The regional variants were the perfect kind of Gimmick. They were a perfect gimmick. That worked 100%. And, having, like, maybe special Z moves for them and that sort of stuff, like, sure, that makes full sense, makes them great. But I think if they were to do, like, some sort of gimmick, then follow in the steps of kind of, maybe if you don't want to go megas, and if megas are too game-breaking, then follow in the steps of regional variants at least, because that, I think, would be perfect. So, guys, my final question to you guys is, do you think we'll be seeing Mega Evolutions in these games? If not, why? Let me know in the comment section down below. If yes, then also why? Why do you think that's going to happen? And let me know your thoughts on it, guys. Do you want to see megas back? If not, that's fair point. That's a fair point if you don't want to see them. Again, I have nothing against, I want to make sure I point this out, I have nothing against Z moves. I just feel like they weren't too special or interesting, while megas were slightly more interesting, more fun to actually, use and have. They were slightly more, cool, almost, if that's the best word to use. That's really how I define them. So, either way, guys, this is going to be the end of the video. If you did enjoy, then drop a like down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all the next time. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.